So it's 6:30 in the morning, and I'm on my way. I had to make it through that bridge because it shuts down at 7 for rush hour traffic until I think 9. So I've got a 10 o'clock appointment 10 miles up the road. I don't have time. So I stopped at LaBelle City Docks. It's a free place to stay. It's right next to the library where they have Wi-Fi that extends out to the dock. And I think I got in around 4 yesterday, and I needed to strip down the boat. You have to take the sails down. And I took all the canvas down because it'll just get torn up in a hurricane. And let's hit the autopilot here. That's 10. Going a little off course there. Yeah, but not a bad way to catch the morning. Let me see. So all the canvas is down. Clean the seat cushions. Bleach down a lot of this stuff. I don't know why. It's just going to be dirty when I come back. The mainsail's gone. So everything's ready. I should be able to just pull in. Come on, autopilot. What are you doing? -10. So I should be able to just pull in and get pulled right out of the water. Down in the bilge is a through hole that I'd like to open up so that the water can drain out of the bilge and onto the ground. I think they'll let me do that in the storage yard, but I don't want. No, there is no need for water to build up in the boat while it's on the hard. So get through the next 2 hours. Not even. It'll go +2, 3, 4, 5. So that works out. It looks like 20 degrees. And then I'll be on. Oh, come on! What are you doing? I think the compass is off. 140, 139, 158. What's the heading over here? 150. And this thing has to be. Turning. Auto. That's my problem. I forgot to turn auto on. Here. It's stabilizing. Where are you going to take me? Because I think I want to go 150, but this works. That's fine. So by line of sight from Fort Myers yesterday, it was 40 miles overall going up and around, but line of sight as the bird flies is 28 miles. And I average anywhere from 6 to 8 miles an hour, just depending on the winds. And I'm burning about a gallon of fuel an hour. I've got an 18-gallon tank, so there's going to be plenty of fuel left in the tank. I just wanted to make sure I didn't run out on the way. So, and then the depth through the channel all throughout the Okeechobee Waterway, I think they try and keep it at least 15 feet deep. That's kind of like 15 now. It's been really great. I haven't had to worry about running aground. I could even tuck in really close to the shores, and I get, still 10 feet, it's wide open. I can do anything I want out here. So I've seen one turtle, and I've seen one gator, baby gator, at the docks yesterday. And outside of that, jack shit. I haven't noticed a lot of birds. That's it. I think that's it for wildlife. I've just been unlucky, or it's the wrong time of the year. But man, is that not a beautiful morning? Look at that. Water's completely still. We're gonna get the sunrise. Yeah, not a bad last adventure for the summer. So, should have done this a long time ago. This place is awesome. And let me subtract a few degrees here before you run into the shore. No, we're gonna add some. Yeah, got it backwards. See the fog coming off the lake. And that just doesn't get any better than that. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to. Yeah, we'll clear it. Clear it. Man. Ah, this turn's gonna be special. I can already tell. Got something in the water over there. Probably a turtle. Not sure what that was. Yeah. Gonna be pointing right into the sun, so. But I'm sleep deprived. No sleep. No caffeine. Just ready to get this over with and get this thing pulled out of the water and let it dry out for 4 months. The bottom paint probably needed to be done when I bought the boat, but aside from doing this trip, anyone in Southwest Florida is going to charge you $1,200 to $1,800 to do it, and I could have the boat pulled out, moved into storage for I think moves are $2 a foot, so $54. They'll put it on stands in the work yard, and then $200 in bottom paint, and I can do it myself for basically $250. Add some degrees, subtract degrees. Let me get that red port, green starboard thing right. Trying to think what else. I don't know if I'll paint it. I mean, it's just aesthetics. I mean, the boat's nice as it is. There's some gel coat repair I want to do, some spidering. It's a 40-year-old boat, so it's, I mean, people step in the wrong places, and it gets cracks, and you just hammer it out with a Dremel and fill it in with some sort of like marine tex. And, other than that, I don't have to do much. I'm going to replace all the through holes and then all the Seacocks. I have gate valves in there. You know, it's the same kind of thing you have on the faucet on the outside of your home. This little round thing that you spin. Well, those aren't. I think they were outlawed by you know, the yachting engineering group, like probably 5 years after I bought the boat. But you're supposed to have ball valves, which rotate, and it's normally on a handle. You see it in copper plumbing a lot. We'll do -5. Oh, look at that sunrise. That's awesome. So I've got 3 of those to replace. One for the head, one for the sink, and then the raw water intake. They actually did replace that with a Seacock, but it's probably about time for replacement. It's getting kind of wondering when I was working on the engine, opening it and closing it while I was testing it outside and flood the engine, if it would open once I closed it. So I think it's overdue. I think they actually used one that was just off the shelf at Lowe's or Home Depot instead of using like a bronze, or I think like a good standard for today is they have plastic, Marlon, I think it's Marlon plastic, which is really durable and it's approved for boats. And I mean, there's no need that this boat needs bronze. It doesn't have a lot of displacement. I think the plastic will hold up just fine. Subtract some more. Yeah, that's pretty legit. So what'd you do at 6 a.m. this morning? Well, Florida gets a bad rap too. So that's it. I'm going to get 10 miles upriver, and yeah, they really want me to subtract a lot from this. And get this thing pulled out, and I'll resume filming from there. Oh no, they have this really cool lock coming up in like, I don't know, 2 miles that lifts the boat 8 feet. The last lock was 1 foot. This lock is 8 feet. This is the big one. So that'll be interesting. A lot of water coming in. So I'll film that, and then once I get out of that, then I'll film getting the boat pulled out at Glades. That'll be interesting. I bet the bottom, my diver said everything looked good. He couldn't find any cracks on the keel, which is normal for these old boats. The whatever is in the keel sump there, it's they used plywood. They on top of the outer shell of fiberglass, they put plywood. Then they put another layer of mat and roving down. And what happened over the years is if you drilled into it to install like a sump pump, or it just got cracks from the weight of the keel, well, the wood would rot out and the bolts would just sink, and then you'd have a big crack around your keel. The guy that I bought it from had the paperwork, the original plans to fix that, and I'm starting to think that he actually did fix that, and that's a big deal because that takes a lot of time. It's not a lot of money. It's you've got to spend 8 hours chipping out the fiberglass, then cut out all the wood, and you don't have to, well, you have to lay down a layer of mat and a layer of roving, and then you have to put the bolts back on. You don't have to install anything to replace the plywood though. But it's just a big pain in the ass, and it's not something I'd want to get into for the cost of this boat. I guess there's always something new to learn. So I'm starting to think that it was done. The diver says nothing's wrong with it, and that was always kind of my concern. I'm not worried about the keel falling off, just, you know, not having a waterproof bond below the waterline, even if it's just tiny amount of seepage. And then, so I'm thinking when I pulled out, it's just going to have no bottom paint. All you're going to see is just whatever epoxy paint they had on it, probably white, just splattered with a little bit of blue ablative paint for the bottom coat. And so that's all got to get ripped off and sanded. Probably put another coat of epoxy paint on it, just to protect it from blisters and make sure it's waterproof, and then I'll go ahead and throw 2 coats of bottom paint on it. Probably getting all that done during Christmas break. So I normally go to Europe, but I think I'll just spend 2 weeks in the boatyard just fucking around, and then get done with whatever else I can. I might have to take the mast down because hurricane season's here, and I don't know how they feel about that. If they do, it's a bit pricey. It's $125 for the crane to come pick that shit off your boat in an hour, so I better be able to turn these turnbuckles really damn quick. And I don't think any of them are seized. And I lubed them up not too long ago. If it does come down, then I'm getting a new navigation system put in. They've got a sailing navigation kit from Garmin. It's got wind speed and wind direction that goes at the top of the mast. I'll put new lights up there, new LED tricolors, because these ones they're incandescent, and they're on the last, like if you bump it around, they'll come on. But I haven't been able to climb up the mast. I never wanted to fall on my fucking ass and break my fucking hips, or pelvis. Yeah, it's shitless. So if that comes down, I get a chance to look at that, and then I'll look at the mast step. It's sinking like 1/4 of a centimeter, which isn't a big deal. It's not significant. the shape of the liner in the exterior is not warping, so it doesn't appear that there's been much of a problem, or maybe that got fixed too. So it's the same thing. They had a wood block down there, and when it rots out, the fucking entire compression post sinks. Just really bad engineering from the get-go. But I think the takeaway is that when they were making these things, they weren't expected to last 40 years. These were going to be boats that you'd own for 10, 20 years before they were worthless and you had to throw them out for scrap. But they lasted a whole lot longer than anyone, I think, anticipated. And so they were only designed for that short lifespan, not 40 years of use. Now we have all kind of cool stuff that you can use for marine construction. Like they've got G10 and another product called Starboard, which is, it's like a kind of that plastic on what are those things called? The partitions in a bathroom, stalls. That plastic wall. That's very similar material, but instead of using plywood down in the sump or on the block, they could have used like a hardened plastic that has a lot of weight resistance and won't deform with weight over time. So I mean, a lot's changed, but the boat's changing too. The mast comes down, it's definitely a $1,200 navigation package is getting put in. But then I'll have, I could get rid of this thing. This is like a 15-year-old Garmin, which still does great. I mean, look at it. The maps are kind of, you know, they're not fancy like cell phones or anything. It tells you where you need to be. But I'll just have screens embedded inside of the bulkhead here. And then it also comes with a depth sounder, so I could replace this $100 thing I just threw in. And it comes with, on that transducer for the depth, it also has a wheel that measures, oh no, they got rid of those. It's GPS. It uses GPS for speed. They'll have speed, depth, wind, and wind direction. So, and then they've got multiple screens you can add, so you can do, you know, it'll tell you when to tack. If you're trying to get to a destination, it basically tells you what to do with your boat at all times. You don't have to guess. And you can even get autopilot for a tiller, I believe, for the thing. I already have one, but if they've got one that works with a Garmin, I'll be all ears. That would be really cool. I could just sit back. I kind of sit back and don't do anything as it is. I just press a button every once in a while. But that would be cool. Also, they have -10. I'm way too far over there. Let's see, we're almost to the shore there. We still got 15 feet of depth. Really deep. They've got an inline fuel meter. So you just stick it in your gas lines. You just cut it in half and stick this thing in it. And it measures how much fuel you're consuming. And that's really cool. And it'll also inform you of what your gas efficiency is, how many miles you're getting per gallon, and you know, how many gallons per hour. For me, the Atomic 4, like I said, it's really good engine. I think at 3/4 speed, or 3/4 on RPMs on the tachometer, it goes down to 3/4 of a gallon. And below that, it's just not efficient. You're going to be going slow. But I've heard of other people who they do new injectors in their carburetors, and they're getting, they at some speeds they could get half a gallon an hour. So that might be something to look at as well, get the efficiency down. But most importantly is the fuel gauge I've got in here fucking sucks. I bought the wrong one, and I should have done my research. It's not accurate. It's not like the one in your car where the meter pretty much is accurate. You know, yeah, you might have 20 20 miles left in your tank when it's on E. But this thing, it always, when it's full, it reads full until you're at 3/4 of a tank. Then it drops to half, and it stays at half until you got 1/4 of a tank. And then when it hits 0, well, you're in deep shit. So, but I knew coming into this 18 gallons, I only had to motor shit 8, 9 hours. So it wasn't, I wasn't going to be playing fuel roulette on this trip. And I could have refueled, but I'm not going to. We got enough fuel. So there's your sunrise. I think that's it. I don't have anything else. I have to move my luggage off with my clothes in it. And if I have time before they lift it out, I'm going to caulk up some of the windows and some of the other joints just to make sure it's going to stay watertight. And that's it. I'm really glad that this is getting done today. So I'll be back with video from the big ass lock, and then lifting this thing out of the water to see what it looks like underneath for the first time. So that's all I got.